to the state's very popular Republican Governor Chris Sununu right now, who has gone ahead and put his name and clout behind Bolduc's more moderate opponent, Chuck Morris. Governor, always good to have you, sir.
Good to see you.
What do you make of this? I guess it would be considered the populist wing of the Republican Party versus, the Trump, back part of that, and the more moderate candidate you seem to be endorsing here. Is it as acute as it is in other states? How would you describe it?
Well, look, there's a five-way primary because there's a lot of candidates that can definitely beat Maggie Hassan. Now, I've put my emphasis behind Chuck Morris. He has clearly the best shot at beating her. He's the most results-driven. He's done more for the state of New Hampshire and understand how this stuff works. And so we've put our emphasis behind there, and I think he's going to win tomorrow, to be sure. But understand that Senator Hassan is just that bad that everybody wants to fire her. I mean, that's the truth. I talk all the time, the fact that she spent $35 million so far and her approval number hasn't moved an inch. She didn't show up for 5 years. Folks want her gone, but we can't take anything for granted. This is New Hampshire. You got to fight it all the way to the end. And again, we'll see kind of what happens. But, you got to put forth the candidate with the best shot at winning in November. If you don't win in November, you can't govern if you don't win, right? So you got to put forth the best candidate with the chance to win in November. That's Chuck Morris.
Well, a lot of Republicans thought that would be you, Governor. They wanted you to run for this position. You opted not to. Any regrets?
Oh, goodness, no. Look, the fact, if it was just me that could beat her or something like that, that might be a different story. But we have a lot of other candidates that can beat her. I think Chuck's going to definitely do it. And I can protect the interests of New Hampshire. Governors can protect the interests of their states against administrations like this. Far better as a governor who makes decisions, 100 decisions a day, as opposed to just being in the Senate. The Senate's important. It has its role. But when you're looking at the EPA regulations that are coming down, how it's impacting our ability to develop the strength of our economies, pushing off inflation, all of those solutions and those opportunities can be created by governors at a localized level. So, no, New Hampshire's best with me right here as governor, and I'm very confident we're going to have that 51st or 52nd Republican when we beat Maggie Hassan in November.
You're very
win-win.
You're familiar, Governor, with Mitch McConnell, concerned that, maybe Republicans are a little overconfident about taking back the Senate. He's not so sure they will. Talked about the quality of the candidates running, not all candidates, but without getting into the weeds, what do you make of his worries?
Look, I think some of the candidates over the summer months in Georgia and Pennsylvania and a few others weren't polling as well as we would have liked to have seen. But at the end of the day, I mean, we should be concerned. As someone who's run for office a lot, you always got to run like you're 3 votes behind, right? That's what you got to do to put 110%. But at the end of the day, folks in November are going to make decisions based on those electricity rates, those gasoline rates, those inflation things. Those types of things hit people at the kitchen table every day. And they are party agnostic, and people are really fed up. And here in New Hampshire, you even have Democrats now quickly panicking and trying to turn against the administration to show they're bipartisan in some way. The fact of the matter is Senator Hassan hasn't been involved for the last 5.5 years. Where was she? Only when she needs to start running again does she start, pushing back to show some type of centrist attitude. But at the end of the day, at least in New Hampshire, our voters are very smart. They know what's happening to their families. They know what's happening in their communities, and they're going to vote for that type of change. I mean, I think we can all agree, Neil, we all want Washington to change. Everybody across the country wants Washington to change. So why would we keep sending back the same people? You got to bring change to get it.
Governor, you're a different bird in the Republican Party. I mean that with great respect. Don't get the wrong idea. But you challenge a lot of this fixation the party has had with all things Donald Trump. You're not disparaging him as much as to say that maybe it's not the party of Donald Trump. I think that's what Mitch McConnell was getting at and worried about with some of the candidates that the former president supported and supports now. Do you share that worry?
No, look, the former president called me about a week ago. I talked to former President Trump. We had a great conversation. I was trying to get him interested in endorsing Chuck in the Senate race. He chose not to get involved this time. But, again, we had a great conversation. I just don't think – I know the media and social media tends to focus on the Trump, not Trump thing with Republicans. But this race is about what's happening to citizens.
You had great fun at his expense. It was very funny, and, at this big Capitol Gridiron dinner. But you don't seem to follow necessarily in his wake here. And I'm just wondering, are you sending a message to Republicans there? Or how would you define it?
No. Look, the only message to send, and this is really serious, the message about 2022 and the importance of it, if everyone's worried about what might happen in 24, who might run for president in 24, let me tell you, we're going to blow it. Republicans have to close the deal with their candidates and their constituents on their races in November of 22. If we do not do that, then 24 ain't going to matter. So politically, you got to stay focused on what's ahead of you. You got to stay focused. And so I know the Trump, not Trump thing and all that.
Right.
That's not critical for 22, and that's where we need to focus.
So you can just tell me, no one else is listening, Governor, did Donald Trump tell you he's running for president and is going to kick off in New Hampshire, anything like that?
Well, look, I'm not going to go into details of what I talked to the former president about, but no, look, I can tell you this: I think a lot of folks are going to run for president in 24. But let's focus on closing the deal in 22 in our governor's races, our local races, congressional, Senate. If we do that, then independents are going to galvanize around the Republican Party. Independents will see the confidence when we come together as a party and we don't get split.